Hi everyone. Just waiting to see if anybody gets on so I'll know that this is taping because last night it didn't. I done the whole video and it didn't tape. So I've got everything out here ready. All right. Had to warm up the water again. That'll be just right. Anyway, I told a couple people that I would make quick yeast rolls. If you want a quick homemade bread yeast roll to make, you can do that in an easier way. And like I said last night, I've made, hi Amber, I love you. I've made the long ones, the shorter version, the frozen ones, and all of them through the years. I can remember one time I made some for a family, McManus family get-together, and I got the frozen ones and they came out perfect. That's all I cared about, that they came out perfect, because there was a lot of bakers there and I was still green behind the ears. And so when we got there, my sister-in-law had made some rolls and she's an expert at it. She's in heaven right now. But she said, "Did you make them?" I said, "Yeah, I baked them." And then I finally looked at her and I said, "But I didn't make them. I just baked them. They were frozen." She goes, "Oh, I could tell." She said, "Because they were even. When you get a frozen roll, they're usually always even. You can't fool people. But sometimes your homemade by scratch is not as even. So that is a dead giveaway." So I'm going to go ahead and make some quick yeast rolls and show you how to do it. And I know that Nancy, my great aunt, she wanted to see me do them too. So this is a recipe I've had for a long time because you just keep them when they're good. So anyway, I'm just going to take my That's a Bowl from Tupperware. Get me a drink. Tom and I's been out all day filling the back end of my SUV up with groceries and canned goods and everything. We always do about two hauls a month, but I know it's just us, but we cook and feed and stuff like that. Anyway, the quick yeast rolls, where you want to start, and I've got this wrote down. I take 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of warm water, okay? And then to that, you're going to add your yeast, which is 2 tablespoons of yeast. And I always buy my yeast down to the Mennonite store. They vacuum pack it, and it's really good yeast. And then I put it in a freezer in a jar. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is a tablespoon, a Tupperware tablespoon. There's 1. And there's 2. And like I said last night, that probably seems like a lot, but it's not, because that's not for this recipe. So I'll just take one of these little Tupperware measuring cups and stir that in there real good. You could use a fork or whatever you want to do, but you stir that up in there. It's not going to dissolve real good right off, you know, it's yeast. So then you take a 1/4 cup of sugar, just granulated sugar. That's what I like about my Tupperware ones, because I can set them, wait a minute. I can set them down like this, and they'll stay without flipping all over the place or whatever. They're just pick it up. But anyway, this doesn't rub off either, the measurements. It's embossed in there. So anyway, see, this is starting to act up already with that sugar. One thing about sugar is, even if it's just a tablespoon or whatever you want to put in, it activates that yeast. And what I'll do is I'll just set that there, and then I'll show you how that's going to raise up and activate. That's how you can tell before you even start your rolls if they're going to raise. Because if that doesn't expand the yeast with the sugar and warm water, it's not going to, your rolls are not going to raise, because the yeast isn't any good. So that's how you do that. And I'm going to take my rings off because I'm going to be using my hands. I'm going to do this the hand way. That way, whoops, about lost my bowl. If you don't have like a mixer and all that kind of stuff, I've got a bread maker where it'll do it for me and have it raised, but these you don't have to. These rolls, you just make them. I'll show you how, and you rest them after you cut them. But there's a certain way that I cut mine I want you to see, and it makes it a lot easier. I take my Tupperware scissors, and these will come apart, see, and you put them back together. So if I need to take them apart and just use it, you know, as a like a little separator, I can. But I'm going to use these like this with my dough. It makes it a lot evener for you. So we're going to let that just sit there a minute. And yes, actually, Amber, I got this recipe off of either Grandma or Mary Alice. I wasn't sure which one. But usually all of my recipe comes from the older people or people that knows how to cook. I always get used to get the recipes off of them, because when I met Tom, I didn't know how to cook. So, you know, my mom was an excellent cook, and I did watch her. I can make spaghetti like her and stuff, but she was always decorating cakes, and I'd sneak through the kitchen when she's decorating cakes, and or grab me a noodle. She made a whole table full of noodles. And so did Tom's mom. So we come from good bakers and people could cook. But this is Amber, and it'll be easy for you to make. A lot of people always thought bread was hard to make, but when it come to Tom's mom and Mary Alice and them, it was it was a piece of cake for them. See, this is starting to get activated now. See that foaming up there? It's starting to foam up. It's coming up to the top. This is a 2-cup bowl, and I had, or 2-cup measuring Tupperware cup, and I had it at a cup and 2 tablespoons, and it's up to almost 2 cups now, foaming up. So now we know that is active, okay? So now we can go on with our other steps. Now, let me then you take 1 egg. I was making sure I got everything. I'm using a brown egg. And then you just kind of, I'm going to take my scissors and just mix that up a little bit. Yeah, these are just kitchen scissors. They're not used for anything else. And I forgot a fork, so I'm just going to mix that up with that. Like I said, I'm always forgetting one little thing. And you might want to turn your oven on to preheat while you're doing this. Let me get my rag and wipe these off really good. Wash them off. Okay, now you're just going to take that. I'll see how that's come up to the top of that. That's really good activated yeast. And if you get your yeast, a lot of people buys the little packs. I get it once a year. I buy it in the big vacuum pack by the pound, and I get it at the Mennonite store, and then I open that, put it in a jar, keep it in the freezer. This is my second jar last year. This is what I had left. So as soon as that gets down about that far, I'll get another one. So you're just going to take this, see how that foam clear up to the top here. Clear up to the top. So we're going to pour that in this bowl. Take your little spatula. This Tupperware one seems to get in there really good. And that smells amazing right now. That yeast is just, I love to smell it. It just, nothing like fresh yeast and fresh made bread. But anyway, look at this, how it's foamed up in there. It's activating quick. So then we're going to take the egg I just scrambled with my scissors, and I'm going to pour that in there. And then I'm going to put a little salt. I'm not going to put the salt in until I put the flour in, because it works better, I think. So I'm going to put the oil in, which is, and I'll put the recipe down at the bottom. The oil is 1/2 cup, and I'm using vegetable oil. Put in there. And then we'll start putting the flour in. Now you use 3.5 cups of flour. I like my Tupperware canister set because of this. Wait a minute. That little window there, when that starts going down, I know to fill it back up. It lets you know when it's getting empty. So you do 3.5 cups of flour, but you only put 2 in it, to start with. So there's 1. And there's 2. So I'll just kind of set that over here. And now we'll put 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This is 1/2 teaspoon. There we go. Now, we got all that. So now we're just going to simply mix all of that up. Just kind of mix it. You can do it in a mixer, but I'm going to do it this way because a lot of time maybe someone don't have a mixer. When I lived in the cabin for 16 years, I learned to live without a mixer. And I'll tell you, these things right here that God gave us, these fingers and hands, they'll do the trick just like a mixer. Unless you're making meringue and then you have to use a jar or something. So I'm mixing all that up. And this will get fun in a little bit. I was always a kid that loved making mud pies. Me and my sister Rita and Valerie would go out, and we'd get in the sand and we'd just pretend like rocks was cars and sticks was people. You know, we didn't have all the real fancy toys, and we didn't need them because we had an imagination. But I remember one time I made a mud pie because I wanted to make a pie really bad. And I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. Maybe not that old. I was just little. So I made a pie. I made my first mud pie. And I remember when I made that, I couldn't stand it. I had to bite down into that thing. And it tastes like dirt. That's what it tastes like, a dirt pie. And that little tiny gravel and sand and stuff I was chewing it between my teeth. But anyway, yeah, I've done that. So see how that's mixing up there now? You've got it like this. It's looking like that. So now we'll do, let's see, we're going to do it by half. Let's see, we've got 2 cups in there. And we need 3.5. So we need to do another half. Get that out of the way. Another half cup. You just keep stirring it like that. That way it all stirs up in there and you don't have a big problem. Now see, it's starting to get more solid. So we'll do another half a cup. Stir that up. And one thing about like your pie crust, you don't want to use your hands a whole lot in them, but with this, these yeast rolls, it's better to use your hands because you are going to be activating that gluten in there, and gluten loves warm hands, and it'll make it raise even more. So we got the first ingredients in, and now we're going to put the last half cup in, which this is getting pretty, as you can see, it's getting solid now. So I'll put the last half cup in. I might save a little bit of that just in case I need it. So we'll just stir that up, and then I'll start using my hands in it. And we'll bring it out here where you can really see it good. So it's really starting to get into a ball now, a ball form. So I'm going to take that spatula out now. Just sprinkle that very lightly. I'll probably have it all over my black shirt too, but I don't care. And then you just kind of, I'm going to put that last half cup on there, if you're going to do it by hand. I'm going to set that here to the side in case I need it. Get it? Need it? Need it? Okay. Now see, we're going to just take that ball. You really do not have to knead these, but I always just take it and kind of fold it over a little bit because, like I said, gluten loves warm hands, or just hands. When you stick your hands in this and you play with it a little bit like that, just pretend like you got Play-Doh. It'll just start activating that yeast in there and that gluten. Like I said, I got my last half cup I was going to put in right here. And this, I wish you could smell this. It just smells amazing. And look how beautiful, you know. You just take a few little ingredients like I did, and it smells good, and it's a beautiful work of art that you get to eat. So I'm taking that last bit of the half cup I was supposed to put in, and I put it out on my little cutting board. So we're getting that all. And the good thing about this bread here is if you have trouble, you know, kneading or rolling or whatever, you don't have to. I'm doing it because I love playing in dough. It will not make them tough when you're doing yeast and dough together, because it really, in your hands, makes the gluten really activate. I don't know how many times I've said that, but I want to stress that fact. So, we do not need any more flour at all now. I'm just going to simply turn that over. Show you how I do the rolls. And you know, if you make something fun, it's a lot funner to do it. I get getting this chair right. Somebody asked me a question. I used instant yeast, Amber, but do not use self-rising flour with this, because if you use yeast and self-rising flour together, it'll mess your bread up sometimes. You're better off just to, let's see, which one did I have the oil in? Just going to pour out oil over that. It was only just probably not even a fourth a teaspoon. Okay, now we'll make sure this is all mixed together. You can see how pretty it looks. And you can just take that and make a big ball and pinch it down to bottom. And there's your dough. That's your rolls right in one big ball. So now we'll take and, let me wipe this off a little bit. I had water on it. Okay, now go take a little bit of this so I can show you how I do the rolls. Like I said, you don't have to even do this part, but I always take them and roll them out like this. I don't make a big ball. I make the ball to start with, but then I roll it out like this. Just like you're rolling a big piece of French bread or something. Because once that raises, if you have any creases, it'll come out. Believe me. And just kind of take it like that. Let's see. You can do 12 rolls, but I think I want to do mine a little bigger. So what I do is I go down the middle and make an indent right here. And then you go over here and make another one. And then you go over here and make another one. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Then you go here and you make another one. And then you make another one. Then you make another one. And then you make another one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 rolls. Now, if I do this again, you know, you can make 12. But I'm not. I'm going to make them pretty big. But you can go, you just keep doing that, and then you go down here and do 1. And then you go over here and do 1, and here and do 1. So now, I'm going to take this scissors right here, and I'm just going to cut that and snip it. Now see on the bottom how that is when you snip it with scissors? You don't have to worry about it having to do much to it. You just take it and fold it under at the bottom, and there's your roll. So now we got to get busy putting it in the pan. So let me get the pan. So I'm going to put this in the pan. And I'm going to do 8 of them, because that's how big I want them. And then I'll go down to the other end. If you can see all this, let me move this stuff here. If you can see all this or not. Okay, now I'm going to take and see this is starting to grow already. Snip another roll. Pull it under like a ball. Just pull it under like that and kind of put it together right there. Because when you do that, it's going to, see, it's even on both sides. So I'm going to put this roll right beside that one. And so, see, I'll put them this far apart. And they'll all raise up real good. So this is starting to grow already. And like I said, you don't have to keep it very long. Yeah, I think Grandma just went like that and had them done. Okay, see how when you cut that like with scissors and snip it like that, you don't have to worry about it being all crinkled. Then you just pull it over like that. And then you've got another roll. Another roll. I got some dough hanging there. So you'll put that there. And we'll do another one. 2, 3. A lot of people might use thread, but it's a lot easier just to get your pair of scissors and use them only for kitchen scissors, and you'll be fine. There's another roll. It's just that simple. I just pinch the bottom of that. See how that, just take that. It's already starting to rise. That's why I say you don't really need to knead these or anything. Tom's going to be happy. He's asleep, but when he wakes up, he'll smell bread. And so here's another roll. And they're getting bigger now because they're raising as I'm doing them. That's how quick they raise on you. I'm probably going to have to make them even bigger now. I pulled that one apart. So we'll just pinch the bottom, bring it around, pinch, bring it around, pinch. And then you've got the bottom already ready to lay in there. So around, pinch, around, pinch. These babies are going to be big, I'm telling you. I can't believe they're raising that quick. I'm fooling around here. Okay, so my first two is not as big because I got, okay, I'm going to, there. I'll have to add to the first two because I cut them, they're always on the end, so you might have to add a little, but it smells amazing in here. Pinch at the bottom. Let me get my hands washed. Okay, I'm going to redo these two down to bottom here because they were at the end. So I'm just going to snip some more off and make them. Bottom. And like I said, you can have these done for dinner. You don't have to fool around with them. They're fun to make. That one was starting to raise. I bet the baby would love to make these with me because she likes playing in Play-Doh. So I'm going to try to spread this out to another. This will make 12, but I'm only making 8 because I wanted to make them bigger. So that's what we're doing here. It's hard to find a place to put this. But I don't want to waste any of it. And these will roll it over, pinch. Okay, pinch. And I'll use this one. I'll have to put it somewhere. I'll put it on this one here. I haven't made these for a long time. Like riding a bike, though. You always know how to do it. Okay, now see these. Now what I'll do is I'll let them... See, I've had them about 1 inch apart and they're already together. So this is what they'll look like in your pan. And you just let them sit. Did you get a good look? You let them sit in your pan for about 10 to 15 minutes. By the looks of these, it's going to be 10. I don't have to do them very long. And then see, as them raise, there's another way I make rolls too like this. That's just amazing how you do it. But I didn't want to take the time. Because I wanted to make it as easy as possible for you. But you can actually, I hope I don't confuse you because I'm not doing it that way. But what I usually do too is when I make these, I won't turn the oven on. I'll put a pan of water down to bottom, just a little saucepan of water, of hot water, and then put them in there. And I make them on a great big cookie sheet. And then I turn the oven on. I put the pan in, turn the oven on with the rolls. And as that temperature goes up in your oven, so will the rolls. As it slowly starts getting warmer and warmer, your rolls will just raise and raise. And they'll just go, they'll be big, tall rolls. That's how you get great, big, giant Texas rolls. But I'm not going to do that because I already turned my oven on. With this recipe, you just let them set for 10 minutes and then put them in a 400 degree oven, and then in 10 more minutes, set your timer for 10 minutes, and in 10 more minutes then you check them, and if they're golden brown on top, they're done. So put my wedding ring back on. I lost my good wedding ring, never did find it. So these are all ready to, almost ready to go in. See how they're growing already? Now when them grows the rest of the way, they'll be above the rim. And they'll be golden brown. And then amber. Yeah, my pan's greased. Good thing, huh? I sprayed it before I started, so it'll be good. I have done that without greasing them, and it hasn't been funny. So, anyway, I'm going to put them in this. And then, amber, when they get done, you take them while they're hot, and you open one up, and you put real butter on it. Or like Grandma used to do when she'd make them back at the house where she lived down over the hill when she lived. That was a long time ago. She'd make them, and we would get the peanut butter out and put on. Oh, it was so good. And what Tom likes to do is I make homemade apple butter. So he'll get one out and put apple butter on it. He'll have these gone. These will not last till lunch or dinner tomorrow, because he'll get up after a while, after he gets done sleeping, my beautiful little photobomber, and he loves to get the apple butter out and just eat these. So another good thing about these is once you get them done, you could put them in a baggie, like airtight sort of, and you can put them in the freezer and you can get them out for a meal, and they taste just like you took them out of the oven. You put them in the microwave for a half a minute, 30 seconds, and you've got a hot roll again. So you don't have to, you can make them ahead of time and have them. And another thing you could do, like with this, with what we just did here, I could have cut them smaller and made little balls and put them on a plate, or not a plate, but a pan, stuck them up in the freezer, and you can freeze them little balls like they are without anything over them. Just stick them on a pan and put them up in the freezer. When them gets froze, you throw them down in a gallon baggie, quart baggie, however many you want to make, and then throw them back in the freezer. And that way, if you're going to go somewhere and you don't feel like making, bread, you've already got your frozen rolls. You don't have to go to the store and buy them. You've already got your frozen bread rolls. And then when you bring them out of the freezer and put them in your greased pan, Amber greased pan, then you just set them there like you do your frozen ones you get in the store, and they'll, the yeast will activate again as it starts getting warmer. It'll just activate, and then you can bake them in the oven. See what Amber said. Oh, yeah, Amber. You know what? You just give me a good idea. I think when these are done, I'll have some with butter and grape jelly on it. So, yeah, these are good. And these are great with homemade beans. You can do beans, you can do anything. And usually sometimes my grandsons will do is they'll take the bread and put spaghetti on it, eat it like a sandwich. So you can do all kinds of things with this. You can also take this dough, this easy dough, and make some of the most awesome cinnamon rolls you ever ate in your life. Or orange rolls. Any of that kind of stuff you can make with this dough right here. And all you have to do is, if you want to make a bigger batch, bigger rolls, all you have to do is double all them ingredients or triple them, and it'll come out great every time and perfect. So there we are. Now what I'm going to do is I'll get off of here, and then I'm going to put them in the oven because the oven is already preheated now. And when I get done, they'll be in there about 10 minutes. I will post a picture of what they look like when they're done, and you'll see how they raised up and how beautiful they are. Easy, guys. Really easy. You can't go wrong on it. Use your hands, because that's what activates your yeast. That's what activates the gluten in these rolls, and that's what makes them what they are. So anyway, I'm glad to see you on here, and I'll probably be making some custard pies. I keep saying that, but somebody wanted to see me make these, so I done these first. So anyway, God bless you, and I'll see you later.